This Late Night Linux Family podcast is made possible by our patrons. Go to latenightlinux.com/support for details of how you can join them. Support us on Patreon for access to ad-free episodes and early releases. That's latenightlinux.com/support. Hello and welcome to episode 376 of Late Night Linux, recorded on the 9th of March 2026. I'm Joe, and with me are Phelan.
Good evening.
Graham.
Hello.
And Will.
Hello.
Let's do some news. We talked about Discord and their age gating stuff. Well, they're delaying it to the second half of the year now, and they've written a big long blog post about how, honestly, it's fine. It's fine, honestly.
The account deletion system overloaded within 24 hours, I'd imagine.
I think they did a good job of explaining how they're going to go about it and how they are doing their best to preserve your privacy by splitting the age verification from their systems and making sure that the only information that flows one way or the other is the age group, not the specific age. So the people who are verifying your age do not know your Discord username, and Discord don't ever see that data that is used to prove your age one way or the other. So I think they've done a good job of explaining how it's going to work. I just fundamentally don't believe that those systems that are used to do it are secure, worthwhile, not bypassable, and that they're just going to keep your data safe.
I agree. I think their intentions are good, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to fuck it up.
Yeah, and good luck getting on an airplane if your user details get leaked and then used in some sort of terrorist incident. You'd never be able to fly, travel, or anything again.
But this leads on to a big story in the last week or so, which is age verification checks in operating systems. You've got California and some other states in the US. There's Brazil. There's a lot of different legislators going after this idea of age verification in the operating system, and that is going to include Linux, supposedly. The California one is interesting because it's just self-reported age. You just basically, when you create your account on the local machine, you just tell it you're in the over 18 age, and that's it. And then that reports to websites and stuff and puts the onus on websites. So really, it's just aimed at parents being able to set up an account for a child, say they're a child, and then websites will know, and services and all the rest of it. But then some of the other proposed laws aren't quite as not bad as that, shall we say. So what do we think? Like, is this realistically going to come to Linux?
I doubt it. And maybe the likes of Steam, where Valve have to, if they're selling a product with Linux on it. But if someone tells me that I have to put that on my distro, I'll just tell them that they can just not use my distro or use it illegally in the state of California or wherever it happens to be.
That's a good point. Like, how are they going to enforce this around the world? Because presumably you could go to another place and install Linux completely legally and then take it with you, right?
I suppose so, yeah.
Are you saying that they haven't thought of everything and they haven't even, like, maybe even fully fleshed the whole thing out?
I haven't thought it through, no way.
They were too busy thinking of the children.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know the way this is going to go. I am uncomfortable with it, but also I feel, as usual, quite naive. Is this the way that the internet is going to go? And there's a whole generation that will just think this is normal. If it does go this way, then Linux and open source is the only way that I would trust it, because at least then you can see the code and exactly what is happening with that age information, whether it is just, semi-ignored or used to lock down accounts for younger people, or if it's passed on to other places. And I mean, that's the only place I could see myself trusting it if I had to trust it, but I'd much rather not have to go that far.
The thing is, you just know that they're going to try and tie it to something else. Like, I know they have the tech in the Intel management engine and all that type of nonsense, but I don't think any of these places should have any specific info on any user of the computer. If you want to label out a set of, like, above 18, below 18, and then maybe a couple of categories in the below 18, yeah, I can see how that could be useful. But they do, I'm sure, want to fully identify users or, use timing based on requests for authentication as to who you are when you used it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think these things always start out of like, that seems like that really does protect that particular group we're trying to protect right now, and then spirals from there.
But I feel so fatalistic these days about the fact that I don't think there's anything we can do to stop the momentum behind this kind of thing, at least with Linux. Like we have done so many times in the past decades, we have a choice to build things ourselves. We have a choice to comment out the source code. And so we can be inventive in the way that other OSs can't be.
I think one of the ways to resist this type of stuff is like the likes of, leaking information of those in power's browsing habits, for instance, or, the various dating apps that skyrocket every time there's a particular party's conference in town. Show them the actual value of how dangerous, like, not even specific information can be, but in the fact that, we know only 40 or 50 of you went there, and then all of a sudden this happened, so Woody in that group is guilty, at least.
Yeah. Why is it when Republicans go to a certain town, Grindr usage goes through the roof, eh?
Making friends again, Joe.
Fuck 'em. But we'll link to a post on Mastodon from Schrodinger's Cat Girl, which is quite a funny name. And she quotes a friend who says, people saying they can't force Linux to do age verification, it's open source, are being really naive. The next step is locking bootloaders / BIOS at the hardware level, and every computer only capable of running approved OSs with age verification. That doesn't seem like complete hyperbole and fear-mongering to me. That seems reasonably realistic, especially with ARM. So you can kind of picture a future where you can't install non-approved, non-age-gated operating systems on brand new hardware. I mean, my stack of old ThinkPads will be fine, but what happens when they break and I need to buy something new?
Yeah, much like the banking software on your rooted Android phone won't install either. I think that's the sort of dream of where they want this to go, I'd imagine.
Yeah. But then I kind of have enough faith in the Linux and open source community to find a way around these things.
I mean, none of us left. We'll all be dead by that point. In and around 10 to 15 years is what I'm talking about here.
All right. Not in a few weeks when it all escalates.
All right. Yeah, well, we won't really care about age verification then.
Yeah, don't mention the war. I mentioned it once. I think I got away with it. But, you look at Asahi, for example. We genuinely thought that was impossible, or at least I did. I thought there is no way they're going to get Linux running natively on an ARM Mac. And here we are. Okay, it's not 100% working, but on my M1 MacBook Air, it's pretty good. And if someone was determined enough, they could do it on these new M5 ones. It'd take a hell of a lot of work, and I'm sure that the Asahi project is working towards that. But the point being that there are some very, very smart and capable people in this wider community.
So what you're saying is it just about works on your 6-year-old computer. Great.
Yeah, but the point being that there are very clever people who, if they are willing to put their effort in, can make it happen.
Can almost make it happen for a really old version, yes.
The chain of security is only as strong as the weakest link. And so let's assume that the hardware cannot be hacked or bypassed. Somebody will leak the key. Somebody will check something into a public repo with the master signing key in it, and then we'll all be fine. That will happen.
Yeah. Or someone will reverse engineer it. They'll plug it into all sorts of equipment that you know about, Will.
I think you're being way too sort of hopeful for a disaster. I don't think we have full access to a lot of stuff that we might wish to. And, hoping that somebody is incompetent at just the right time. I don't know. It's a bit of a poor future strategy, I think.
That's fair. In another one of these articles that was linked to, I read a bit that really concerned me, which was that the operating system through the browser will be responsible for reporting your age group directly to websites. That seems like another, disaster waiting to happen.
Is it that bad, though, if it's just reporting you're either under 13, between 13 and 18, or over 18? I'd rather have a file in like Etsy somewhere that just says, yes, this user is over 18, than having to fuck around with a VPN when I want to look at a subreddit that has been deemed to be adult.
You raise a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that is a slippery slope, though, isn't it? Once the whole system is in place, they can tweak it up until it becomes something that you then can't just do that. Because, it'll be, oh, this is even more secure, or this is a much better system. You don't have to take the hassle all out of it. And again, people just go along with it. People always go along with it.
Yeah, I think that slippery slope argument is very much valid. But what can you do? If the law says you've got to put this into your distro, you've got to do it. And hopefully there'll be ways to remove it.
Seasteading, that's what it is. That's what we need. Once the oil and gas shuts down in the North Sea, we can all buy our own oil rig and then set up as an independent country.
Right, yeah, good idea. All right, something that has really blown up recently is this car debt thing. I think that's how you say it. It's spelt char debt, or is it Chardet? Anyway, it determines characters, so it's car debt or whatever. Anyway, this is a Python project, and it was previously licensed with the LGPL, which is a copyleft license. Well, recently, the maintainers decided to rewrite it from scratch, in quotes, using, you guessed it, Claude code, and are claiming that it is a clean room implementation, so it's fine for them to relicense it as MIT, which of course is a permissive license. Well, the original author has piped up saying, no, you can't do that, and controversy has ensued. Now, I'm going to guess, Phelim, that you think that the original author is correct.
Well, I haven't said whether I think that or not. It's very presumptuous of you. Obviously, 1,000%, I think Mark Pilgrim is 100,000,000% correct in his assumption, and he should give him 2 fingers and tell him to fuck off.
Yeah, he's the original author.
He is the original author, yes.
How can it be a clean room implementation if it's using an LLM that was trained on the fucking internet? Obviously, that LLM has seen the code to this. So it's just impossible for it to be clean room. That's not how clean room works.
Didn't we predict this would happen? I'm pretty sure this came up before something like this did happen. We discussed it and we thought this is something that we think LLMs will do, and what are we going to do about it when it happens? Fundamentally, I do agree with Phelim, but I don't think that's going to change anything here, because the laws of LLM-generated content are being tested in court, and so far, that argument just isn't working. So I don't think it's going to work. And what are we going to do then?
Well, they did say that you can't, as a machine, get a copyright case for that art project. So if a machine can't copyright something, I don't think it should be able to relicense something either.
But isn't ultimately the end artifact a re-engineering of an API, the API, such as when Google did the same thing with Java, or where we've been on the other side of this argument simply because the API is the same doesn't mean that can be copyrighted.
I think the problem with the way that they did it, if they want to do it like this, is the fact that they said what they should do is say, write me a application that can detect the character encoding of something and just never mention his code. Maybe even explicitly say, do not look at the code of blah, even though that's absolute bollocks, and it will, of course, have learnt from that, so it can't do that. But I think with them trying to re-implement his software, they have invariably used his software to influence how they have written it. They should just take the task and then go with that. That would be the only real way.
Well, yeah, my understanding of a clean room implementation is that you have to have 2 separate teams. Like if the source code is available, there has to be one team who looks at the code and then writes a detailed spec based on that code, and then a separate team that has never looked at the code that then has to write the new code from that spec. And so if you gave an LLM the spec, then you could at least pretend to argue that it's not laundering of the code and laundering of the license and everything. But if you point it at the fucking repo and tell it rewrite this, it's not clean room.
Or maybe you point it at the repo and say, write a spec of this, and then use the spec to write the code for this.
But the model's still likely to have been trained on that code. And
yeah.
that's the problem is the proving one way or the other if it has or hasn't been trained on that code. And I don't think, I'm sure they could tell you, but they certainly won't tell you.
I think that's where it all boils down to, is the fact that they took a load of software outside of its license and used it to allow you to write software that breaches that license, whether explicitly or implicitly, without anybody's express permission to do anything.
And we can't do anything about it.
I think that's the key, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
We can argue until we're blue in the face. We can try and do lawsuits, try and get, conservancy involved, let's say. But are you going to win this? Probably not. And, there are those who are arguing that this is effectively the end of copyleft. Because if they get away with this, which they probably will, then basically anyone could do the same for any piece of copyleft software. And thus, copyleft is dead. And we are left with just permissive licenses for open source software.
I would imagine the vast majority of code that is in the training models of LLMs is, in fact, FOSS software. But let's not forget that there's proprietary software in there that was taken without those people's express permission. So I think the concept of ownership in general has just been shot to shit. And I think there's a lot of people are going to be very pissed off when they start seeing clones of their stuff pop up, which possibly has even their own code in there.
Okay, this episode is sponsored by Automox. If you're evaluating endpoint management solutions, the real risk isn't which tool you choose, it's choosing one without a proven blueprint for success. Because while most endpoint tools promise automation, next to none promise outcomes. That's why Automox introduced Turnkey results. Turnkey removes the uncertainty that holds endpoint automation back. It delivers a personalized results blueprint, so Automox is configured and operated to achieve real outcomes from day one. No trial and error, just clarity. Each blueprint is validated across millions of endpoints managed by Automox and tailored to your specific environment, your risk tolerance, and your operational goals. Instead of guessing how aggressive to be with automation or how to configure policies safely, start with a plan you can trust. And you can choose to implement the plan yourself or have Automox do it for you. Either way, you get faster time to value, lower risk, and predictable endpoint outcomes. Automox Turnkey results. Know the plan, trust the result. Learn more at www.automox.com. Hide from Meta's spy glasses with this new Android app. So this is an app called Nearby Glasses. Now, if you don't know about the Meta Ray-Ban, whatever they're called, it's really quite creepy. It's kind of like Google Glass, but instead of looking like some sort of cool sci-fi thing, you just look like an 80s wanker with the Ray-Bans on. And they've got a camera built in, and yes, there is an LED that lights up when you're recording, but you can hack it to turn that off.
Or defeat it with a sticker.
Yes, but now there is an Android app that is open source, which is cool. That's our excuse to talk about this, that will detect the Bluetooth signature, basically, of these Ray-Ban Meta AI glasses. Now, I know a young person, about 20-ish, and this young person is popular. I mean, it's shocking that someone could be related to me and popular and fashionable, but there we are. My niece has got a pair of these, and she sent me the video, and I'm like, yeah, cool. And then a couple of days later, I found an article about how everything you record with these Meta glasses gets sent to a team in Kenya who have to painstakingly go through all of your footage and label everything you see to train the AI bullshit.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And so I told her about that. She said, I don't care. All they're going to see is me taking the piss out of my brother or going to raves and, dancing and
taking a shit.
Well, yeah. Well, and there's been reports of people who've accidentally left them on the nightstand, as the Americans would call it, and then people come in, spouses come in and start getting undressed and whatnot, and like accidentally recording while you're having a shit or whatever, and
Which is worse? That's the question.
Accidentally.
Yeah.
Accidentally on purpose.
Imagine all the things you see in a day if they were accidentally sent,
Picking your nose and examining the the treasures that you got out. Oh, dear.
Exactly. The mind boggles with what they might see. I cannot believe that this is a thing. Like, we lived through that glass hole era only for it to just come back. And this time they just made them fashionable. That was the mistake that Google made. They made them too nerdy and sci-fi looking. If they just made them with a company like Ray-Ban, which Ray-Ban's kind of one of those timeless brands, isn't it? Like Converse All-Stars or whatever. It never seems to go out of fashion. So that was genius from Zuck to do that, to convince a bunch of young, hip, trendy people to walk around filming everything to train his fucking AI.
There's a bit of hope here because, I've got an 18-year-old daughter and she sent me a link to this Android Detector app and she asked me whether I thought this worked because she was actually concerned that people were around, or when she's out and about, people would be wearing these glasses. And she's not particularly privacy focused. She's a typical older teenager, but that's the first time I've kind of seen her care. And she genuinely was looking for something that would help her detect people with these kind of glasses. And she was uncomfortable about being around those people. So maybe there's a bit of a movement against this kind of thing.
That's quite good.
That tells me that you're a better parent than my brother, Graham.
No, because she's ignored everything else we've ever said. So,
does she have an Android phone then?
She doesn't have an Android phone, no. She's got an iPhone.
Okay. So she is relatively normal then.
Yeah.
That's interesting, right? Because, I sent this app as well to my niece and she said, "Oh, that's so weird. Like, why would you do that?" And I said, "No, walking around secretly filming people is the weird thing."
Yeah, I was surprised. So that's why I remember it. And so I don't know. It's the first time I've seen her really care for something like that.
I thought it was strange because I've seen a few videos crop up on YouTube of people going through airport security wearing these things clearly. Because I couldn't understand how they're getting footage inside the metal detector area because you're clearly told not to film inside there.
Yeah, you get your phone out, you're going to end up in cuffs, aren't you?
Yeah, so this must be why. And I never linked the two together. And yeah, interesting that people have worn them places where, technically they shouldn't have. What a shocker.
One bit of credit I will give to Zuck, right, is that although they film vertically, of course they film vertically, it's 4:3, not 16:9.
Why would you give them credit for that? Have you got a stack of Sony tellies from the 90s that you have there?
No. What might I have that suits a 4:3 ratio, Phelim?
Nothing. That functions. That doesn't have key marks on that. That's all I can think of.
Unfold it, boom, it just looks perfect.
Oh, dear.
Well, anyway, everyone should download this open source app. And it does specifically say, don't hassle people. If you do, you might get in more trouble than them for subtly filming you when they shouldn't be.
It's not an F-Droid, by the way. And I don't know why, because it does have a GitHub repo. So hopefully it was just a matter of time, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I looked. It's available on the Play Store and I think another store that I can't remember. And if you look on the GitHub, there is a releases page with APKs, so you can directly download that. Hopefully, yeah, it will be going through F-Droid. But F-Droid, everything's manually reviewed, isn't it? So it takes a while generally to get in there. So if it has been submitted, hopefully it'll be there soon.
While we are on the topic of glasses, don't forget everybody to buy Eclipse glasses if you live in the Western Atlantic archipelago or Spain or Portugal, in which case there's a actual solar eclipse coming up this year.
The fucking Western Atlantic, you mean the British Isles?
I do not mean that, because that is a racist statement, you giant imperialist bastards.
The British Isles. Just like it's the English Channel and not the Sleeve Channel.
Western European Atlantic Archipelago is what you think you will find it's called.
I have fucking heard it all now, Phelim. You don't have to talk out of your ass.
Sorry, I don't understand you in that foreign tongue you're speaking to me.
When's this eclipse then?
I think it's August or September. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, in the summertime. So, I mean, even with the shitey weather over here, we should still catch about 90% of it. So that should be like a, proper dim day all of a sudden with birds going to sleep and then waking back up afterwards. So, yeah, I mean, especially with that, if you don't have a total eclipse, Jesus Christ, don't look at the sun. I remember the last one that was I think it was like 2001 or 2. And I had a summer job I was working at the time, and I got a piece of wood in my eye and had to go to the eye hospital with it. And there was like at least 20% of the people there had previously that day looked at the eclipse and thought they were going blind. And I was like, Jesus Christ. It was, and the warehouse I was working in was just beside this place that did like photographic printing. And there was a whole lot of lads looking through photographic film at the sun. And that was like the explicit thing they said, don't look through photographic film at the sun. I said, did you not hear that bit? And they all went, oh shit. It's like, meanwhile, fucking Spud over here had a sheet of cardboard with a hole in it, making a pinhole camera. Look, everybody, you can see the shadow. And everybody looking at it going, fuck off. I'm looking through the film.
And you're right, get the glasses now before they are expensive.
Or sold out.
Yeah, more likely. Maybe swap some RAM for some at the time. Right, well, we better get out of here then. We'll be back next week when who knows what it'll be. But until then, I've been Joe.
I've been Phelan.
I've been Graham.
And I've been Will.
See you later.